him, he'll be the winner on April 9th. Ami.
Okay, Dan Raviv, thank you very much for joining us from Washington, D.C. He mentioned Benny Gantz, the main rival for Prime Minister Benny Gantz, the main rival to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. We had a chance in I24 News to speak, okay. We don't have Benny Gantz, the interview that I was going to show you. Let's talk a little more about the Golan Heights and the importance of this. Like I said, with the Golan issue and with the rocket issue, you mentioned it was going to be a big gift. Do you think it's going to affect the vote?
Look, anything here can affect the vote of the undecided. I don't think that basically the captive audience Netanyahu has will change or will disappear. It will remain there. The question here is a few mandates here with who will tip the balance in favor of one of the two.
Right.
We're talking about four mandates, 3 to 4 mandates.
Right.
This is what we're talking about.
Right.
And the Golan issue is not definitely the one that will tip the balance in favor of Netanyahu.
Now we have that exclusive interview that Benny Gantz gave to I24 News. Let's have a listen.
General Gantz, thank you for being with us on I24 News. I need to address the breaking news that we've received. There's an operation about to undergo in Gaza. Another rocket attack in central Tel Aviv. 7 people injured. This is the second rocket attack on Israel, on central Israel, in less than 10 days. If you were Prime Minister now, how would you respond to this?
First, I think he did good by going back to Israel. I think it's important. We should have a massive retaliation back. We must restore the deterrence that we had after Protective Edge. We cannot accept whatsoever any kind of attack from Gaza Strip, whether it's to the southern villages or whether it's to the central of Israel. We will have to retaliate firmly.
How would you do that? If you were Prime Minister now, would that retaliation involve a ground invasion?
That we should leave this to the operational echelons to discuss with the Prime Minister and currently under his...
But this is a role that you want to take, and you certainly have the military qualifications. I'm saying, so how would you handle it?
Yeah, definitely, but you know, as a general and as a security guy, I will not tell my plans in front of the camera. What I would say that I will use all means, air, land, sea, whatever it takes, defensive or offensive. We are by far stronger than Hamas. Hamas knows it, and he will feel it now.
General Gantz, we're here at AIPAC. AIPAC supports a 2-state solution. What is your position on that?
My position is to make sure that Israel stays a Jewish state, a democratic state, and everything but a binational country.
What do you mean by that? Do you support a 2-state solution?
Yeah, we should promote any accord that can lead us to have a future, quiet, safe Israel for all its citizens.
You mentioned that you do support a 2-state solution. I'll take it. AIPAC supports a 2-state solution. What is your position on that?
I support that we will not control other people. I support that we maintain Judaism as the main issue of Israel, Jewish democratic state, and we should make sure that it doesn't become...
Does that include the nation-state law?
Includes that we are willing to discuss whatever can be discussed with any candidate leader, just as I said in my speech. Any serious candidate leader that wants to solve this issue. What will be the very end outcome of it? It should be discussed at the end of the process. And not...
Do you have a vision of what an independent Palestinian state would look like, especially considering Israeli security?
Talking about the entity that we see now that can change itself into so many different ways. We don't want to run other people's life. We don't want to run their welfare. We don't want to run their infrastructure. We don't want to run their economy. We want to live safe in our country. We will take care of the security and the perimeters, all the external perimeters. We will make sure that we have in our hands the security all over the area, because once we give this up, it will ruin down the Palestinian Authority and it will damage us. We have seen it before. So when we're looking at future arrangement, those things has to follow our security consideration, and this is what we will do.
General Gantz, you're here at AIPAC, which is a huge political spotlight for you. Your political experience has been criticized, or lack thereof has been criticized as being a hindrance to you taking the role of Prime Minister. Limited political experience, limited experience in the business sector, as your critics would say. Why are you qualified to be the Prime Minister of Israel? You support many of the same policies as Prime Minister Netanyahu. We heard you say that in the speech today. Why are you qualified to lead Israel?
Michelle, I have by far more experience than what Benjamin Netanyahu had when he started to be a Prime Minister. I was the Chief of Staff of Israel Defense Forces. I've gained perspective more than he ever had perspective before he started. I will understand the responsibilities they lay on me, and I've no doubt that I will make a great Prime Minister.
So your main criticism against Netanyahu is as an individual as opposed to his policies?
It has to do nothing with policies, with some of them which I agree and many of them which I don't. I think Netanyahu made his share, made his tenure. We will take it from here. We'll tell him thank you, but we will move forward.
You mentioned the Trump administration in your speech. Do you think you two could have a good relationship with the president?
I think that we can have great relationship with the Americans, regardless of who is the president. Bipartisanship is a very important thing for us all, and we will continue it this way.
What is your message to Israeli supporters here in America?
I will tell the Americans that they have no other Israel in the world. I will tell the Israelis they have no other United States in the world, and this is something that will continue forever.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. General Benny Gantz, thank you. Thank you very much.
Yossi, I want to start with you. What's your reaction to that interview?
Telegraphically speaking, well, first I think that it was wise on part of the Prime Minister to come to Israel. Just remember that the first Intifada began, to return to Israel. The first Intifada began while Prime Minister Rabin was abroad and did not appreciate the magnitude of the event. So here I think the precaution requires that he would be here. God forbid it would turn into some kind of all-out war. So that is one point. Another point is, well, look, I mean, hey, guy, we need a little bit of zeal, a little bit of courage. We want to see, like, the political scene, that there are two distinct, clear-cut positions, so that the voter would go and say,
for example, on the two-state solution, for example.
Exactly.
He was evading Michelle McCrory's question there.
Say it out loud. Palestinian state, nothing would happen to you. There are a lot of people.
Well, some could argue that he would lose votes. That's why he's not doing it.
Well, Netanyahu told me once that his slogan was given by his father. He said, his father told him, don't be boring. And what we see here, alas, is that Gantz is a boring person. The way he speaks is boring, contrarily to Netanyahu.
Low charisma?
Lack of zeal. I think that Kissinger was at the time right when he said that Israel has no foreign policy. It has only domestic policies. And this is basically what's happening here. The fight is inside and not outside. When you ask the question about two-state, not one state, the answer is here. What you hear is an alter ego. Ben Netanyahu's alter ego. It's the same thing. It's the same song. So as Yona says here, there's no clear-cut position. There's no anti-position.
Although he is getting compliments for his performance, for his speech itself that he gave at AIPAC.
Well, you know,
maybe there he showed a little charisma.
You know, this is also something to be discussed. I mean, he's not an orator. He's not a kind of guy that can inflame an audience.
Right.
This is definitely he's not Netanyahu.
If the deal is about being, you know, high rhetoric, charisma, and so forth and so on, of course Netanyahu wins the game very easily. But let's hope that he have an agenda, you know. So we're talking about agenda.
Let's hope that Netanyahu doesn't become like Bouteflika. You know, we don't want 5 mandates.
Of course not. I'm not saying that you know that I'm rooting for Netanyahu, but nonetheless, I'm saying that we need the agenda.
Yeah, the thing is that there's lack of with Gantz, lack of zeal, as you said, and lack of ideology. You see that he doesn't have any ideology. He repeats all kinds of slogans that he takes from here and there.
He is leading in the polls, at least.
Because people
want to change something changing.
They want, in a way, they won't change, and they are critical about Netanyahu. But I think that at the end, the day of the elections,
It's not just a
People will
protest,
vote
though.
for
It's not just a
that
protest.
what they are
What
used
Benny
to
is
vote.
trying to say,
Yeah.
if I may, is that, look, government, opposition never wins, government lose. So the issue now is whether Bibi Netanyahu, because he is actually involved in all these bribery, fraud, and
Well, after today, nobody's going to talk about that, are they?
Yeah, of course.
Nobody's
But I
gonna
mean,
talk
a
about it.
breach of trust and so forth and so on, that would topple him down. Not the fact that there is a rival that would be able to do that.
Nobody's going to talk about that, the corruption. Nobody's going to talk about Benny Gantz's phone hack anymore because of what's happening
main
today.
issues in Israel are not, unfortunately, on the agenda of both politicians. The problems of housing, the problems of the economy, of failing people who are 25% of the country are living in poor conditions. I mean, these are the real issues and are not met in this
The campaign is about the mobile phone or the submarines. You know?
Right.
Definitely.
That is all the time.
Unfortunately, yes.
All the time we have, unfortunately, as well. I want to thank my guests, Benny Tziffer, Yossi Yonah, and Jacques Neria. Thank you very much for coming on.